All right, welcome back. Welcome back to episode 8 of my video series where I'm logging basically my journey. If this turns into something, which it will, I hope so. So today's topic is the ability to, keep pushing forward um, in the midst of rejection. So what I mean by this is that if you're working on something and you get rejected, or if you're being told no, you have to have the resilience and the perseverance to be able to move forward after the fact. I mean, I think it's so hard for a lot of young people my age to kind of move forward after the fact just because um, in our society we're being taught that you can get things really quickly. I mean, like scrolling on your phone is a great example of that because it's like instant dopamine hits. You'll get that immediately and you don't really have to worry that, like there's no delayed gratification in scrolling on your phone. So I think that has to play a part just because there's some people who you know will be told no or they'll be rejected and they'll settle for something less and they'll be complacent because something else happened in their life. But I think that we're just being trained to be complacent, and I think that it can be harmful at times just to be mindlessly scrolling because it trains our brain to crave that dopamine, but the dopamine that we're craving is so short-lived and it's put into bite-sized pieces that you know when we're seeking genuine emotion, that it's harder and harder to achieve just because we've been like dulled by the fact of the small dopamine hit. So along the fact of being told no, I think that me personally, that I have to keep on grinding. Like, if I face obstacles that are in my way, I have to continue to and have the same mindset that I need to keep going. Like, there's no shot that I'm gonna let something else determine whether or not I can keep going and persevering. I mean, I've been watching so many videos about three-act structure and Jack Kreger and his journey about weapons, and I saw and what he said was really inspirational, where it was like, if you want to be a director, just direct something and make something. Okay, and it doesn't matter how shitty it is or how bad you think it is. You just have to be a director. And I think that it's motivational in a sense where, I think I'm creative enough where I can make these type of things, and um, I think that it can speak. It can go very far. Like his words can go very far because it's like, well, number one, if you think you want to be a director, just be a director. But also it's like you're gonna have to put in your dedication and your courage and your perseverance, and you're just gonna have to keep grinding over and over and over again until you make it. I mean, there's so many directors out there who, you know, the internet is going crazy about these young directors, right? And how they're saying, "Oh my gosh, this is the future." But also you have to keep in mind that there's so many directors out there who maybe didn't get a start when they were in their 20s or in their 30s, but they got a start when they were in their 40s and they became really successful. I think that everyone has their own journey and it's a process for every single person. Like, I don't think it's fair to decide someone's career just based on how young they are or something like that. But along the lines, they are successful even when later in their life, even though they might have not started when they were younger, just because they persevered. Because there's also people who are their age who want to do the same thing, but they were scared away and they quit early, or the money situation wasn't good or something like that. And I understand that some things are just out of their control, but I think that's what persistence and perseverance and just discipline, I think that's where it shows up. Because the people who really, really want it to become true, it will become true for them. Because there's a difference between people who say they want something to come true and then the people who just do it. I mean, they don't talk about it much and they just start making videos or doing whatever path they're on. I mean, it's kind of cool the way these young directors are bringing brought up because Kane Parsons, he started in Blender with his backrooms thing, and look, his career is kind of taking off, and he just released a huge movie through A24. I mean, that's crazy. I feel like everybody wants to get a movie made by A24, and I think that it's kind of cool for Curry Barker also, just because Curry Barker, he his way of making a movie and getting funded and all that, like the traditional route, he didn't follow. I mean, he released Milk and Cereal and it got recognized and, he got funding from that, but he was posting these skits on the internet. And it's like, wow, if that can happen for him, why can't it happen for other people, or why can't it happen for me? You know what I mean? Like, I think that you kind of have to understand that there's multiple ways to get into the industry where it's like, oh, maybe I can go the film festival route, or maybe I can post these short films on YouTube, or maybe I can be specialized in one thing and it be like, oh, wow, this is my skill. Here's what I offer as a director, and here's what I bring to the table. I mean, I think that every single person who's directed a movie at a young age had something to offer other than their, experience. I think they had a specialized skill. I think that Curry Barker is a great writer. And I listened to a podcast and he said that if he asked his 12-year-old self, he would think, oh my gosh, we're a writer. It's crazy. And so it's like every single young director is specializing in something in order to, you know, get ahead. And right now, the position I'm in is like, well, I don't really think I specialize in anything in filmmaking. And I don't think that, what I'm doing is going to be exactly, like I feel like I have to pick something in order to make myself stand out, but at the same time, it's like, well, I'm learning and I'm gonna fail and I'm gonna have things not work out all the time, and that's totally fine because I know I'm gonna be told no, I know I'm gonna fail, and I have to try my best not to be discouraged because there's so many things out there that are constantly trying to make you discouraged just because I mean, doing anything in life is not going to be easy. I mean, I guess the lie that we tell ourselves is that if I just do this, it'll make my life this much easier. I think that the reality we kind of have to accept is that life isn't easy in general, and anything we do is going to come with its hardships. And I'm not saying that life is going to be hard all the time, but I think that it's a rite of passage. Life is going to be hard just because we're living. It's not like we're born and then we're free of pain and suffering for our entire lives. No, there's moments of pain and suffering in our lives, and you're not human if you don't experience those emotions. You kind of have to be open and willing and have the mindset to be like, hey, I'm going to fail and I might fail miserably, but I'm not going to let that affect my mindset. I'm going to be like, hey, boom, I'm persevering again. I'm right back in the game like nothing happened. And it might be tricky to visualize at first, but I think that falling in love with the process can also be an amazing mindset. I mean, I'm watching a bunch of screenwriting videos and three act structure and Save the Cat and all that, and I'm falling in love with it just because, I'm seeing all my favorite movies being made, and then now I can watch them from a different view. Before I was just watching them to watch them, but now I'm watching all my favorite movies and I'm breaking them down in three act structure, and I'm just breaking them down, analyzing, oh wow, that's a great cinematography, that's perfect framing. Look at this lighting. Wow, that's great dialogue. Like, it's beautiful, and I'm really falling in love with the process even though I'm at such a small scale. In my opinion, I'm at such a small scale. And there's people who, have a crew and they're at a higher production value and all that, but I'm going to try my best not to really look at that because the moment I start critiquing myself for things I don't have is the moment that I'm going to be paralyzed and I'm not going to be able to make stuff. I mean, the reason I'm starting this channel is just to kind of document the fact that the definition of I don't want to give up, so I'm just going to do this. Because I would have been much better off doing this and just documenting and getting experience in front of the camera or something like that than just sitting on my butt eating Cheetos, and scrolling. And like nothing against Cheetos, but it's just something where I'd much rather be motivated by something rather than just nothing. And I think that also can contribute in the process of believing that even though you might fail, you can still succeed through it. Like, because failure doesn't mean that, I mean, one failure, there's not a single sane person who can really, really be genuine with themselves and say that if you fail once, that means it's over. I mean, I'm speaking for, I guess, filmmaking, which is kind of hard for me to say because I haven't made a short film yet. I haven't made anything yet. But I think that, you know, in my failures, in my hardships, in my uncertainty, I'll be learning from every single one of them, and I can take parts of it that worked and I can kind of toss the stuff that didn't work. And I think that's what makes, a great director or, someone who is in film great because they understand that one failure, number one, doesn't define them. Okay, they're not going to be defined by their failures. And number two, they acknowledge that even though they're failing, they're still willing to show up the next day. I mean, I think that we as humans are designed to, kind of back down like immediately, basically, after one bad experience. Oh, that was uncomfortable. I won't do that ever again. And I think that it's valid in some situations. I mean, if you're in a situation and you're like, wow, I really don't like this, it's making me really uncomfortable, then I think that you can distance yourself from whatever that is. But at the same time, it's like you have to be willing to be, and I'm speaking in the context of filmmaking, you have to be, or I guess really just making videos, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in terms of making content. I mean, making content, quote unquote, because I mean, there's people on the internet who just would rather say something mean, and they're ruthless basically, and it's kind of a good framework to live by. I mean, I'd much rather stay motivated than unmotivated 90% of the time. I mean, nowadays, more recently, I'm not going to say nowadays, more recently, I've been motivated to do things that I might not have done maybe a month ago. Like, I'm constantly trying to do more things that can be proactive towards filmmaking. I mean, end goal, being a filmmaker would be huge. It'd be huge for me. I mean, maybe the cards won't align, but I really do believe in myself. So, that's a wrap. Episode 8, I think. I mean, I just looked at my YouTube channel and there's like two episode 7s. I think I'm missing an episode 5. So I'm just going to say episode 8 so I'm not too caught up in everything else. Episode 8. Yeah, episode 8.